Anna and Josh Duggar, the shocking fallout. Hello friends, welcome to my channel. I am Elena, and I hope you are well. If you like the video, please subscribe the channel USA Dramatic Show and press the bell icon. The Duggar family home in Springdale, Arkansas, had always been a symbol of controlled chaos. With 19 children, countless grandchildren, and a calendar packed with church activities, holidays, and public appearances, there was rarely a moment of quiet. But in the weeks leading up to the fallout between Anna and Josh Duggar, there was a different kind of silence, the heavy, uneasy kind that makes even the children whisper, without knowing why. Anna Duggar had grown used to holding herself together for the sake of her children. Her life had been defined by loyalty, patience, and faith, all qualities she had clung to even during the darkest days of Josh's past scandals. She had stood by her husband through criminal trials, prison sentences, and public humiliation. But lately, something inside her had begun to shift. For weeks, she had been more distant at family gatherings. She smiled less, stayed on the edges of conversations, and avoided standing near Josh during the rare times he was allowed to make public appearances under strict conditions. Even Jim, Bob, and Michelle, usually skilled at projecting a unified family image, began to notice the tension. They would exchange concerned glances when Anna kept her gaze on the floor, or when Josh tried to put an arm around her, and she subtly stepped away. Rumors had already begun circulating within the extended Duggar circle. Some whispered that Anna was planning a permanent separation, while others insisted she was simply exhausted from years of media scrutiny. But no one, not even the older Duggar siblings, could have predicted the scale of the emotional detonation that was about to unfold. The turning point came on a humid Thursday afternoon in late July. Anna had taken the children to visit one of her sisters, Priscilla, in Florida. The trip was meant to be a break from the stress of Arkansas life, a chance to let the kids run barefoot in the sunshine, to sit on the porch and drink iced tea without constantly worrying about the Duggar family's name in the headlines. But during that trip, Anna received a message from a close friend that made her blood run cold. It contained screenshots of a private online conversation Josh had allegedly been having with someone outside his marriage. The content wasn't explicit in a physical sense, but it was enough to feel like betrayal. Long, emotional exchanges with a woman he referred to as his confidant, discussing frustrations in his marriage and a desire to start fresh, once his legal troubles were over. Anna stared at her phone for nearly an hour before saying anything. Her children played on the living room floor, laughing over a game of Uno, while she sat frozen on the couch, her mind racing. She had always known trust was fragile in their relationship. She had spent years trying to rebuild it, but this felt like the final crack that could shatter the entire foundation. When she finally confronted Josh over the phone, his response was defensive. "You're reading too much into it," he insisted. "It's not what it looks like." But Anna wasn't convinced. And for the first time in her marriage, she didn't feel the need to defend him to herself. When Anna returned to Arkansas, her demeanor was unmistakably different. Normally, she would have gone straight home, cooked dinner, and tried to maintain an air of normalcy for the children. Instead, she dropped them off at her sister-in-law Jess's house for a sleepover and drove to her own mother's home nearby. Josh, caught off guard, called her repeatedly, but Anna let the calls go to voicemail. She knew that going home would only lead to another round of arguments, hollow apologies, and the same cycle she'd been trapped in for years. This time, she wanted to be somewhere she could think clearly. Michelle Duggar reached out later that evening. "Anna, honey, I know things are hard right now, but remember, God calls us to forgiveness." Anna's voice was calm but firm. "Michelle, I've forgiven him more times than I can count. But forgiveness doesn't mean I have to keep walking back into the same fire." The first public sign of trouble came during the family's annual 4th of July barbecue. For years, Anna had stood beside Josh in family photos, holding the youngest child while the older ones smiled for the camera. But this time, Anna was noticeably absent from the group picture posted on the Duggar family's official Instagram account. Fans noticed immediately. "Where's Anna?" one commenter asked. "Hope she's okay," another replied. By the next morning, social media was buzzing with speculation. Some believed she was avoiding publicity due to Josh's ongoing legal issues. Others claimed they had insider knowledge that Anna had moved out. Inside the Duggar household, conversations were tense. Josh tried to assure his parents and siblings that the situation was temporary, but Anna's absence from key family events told a different story. The real breaking point came 2 weeks later. Anna returned to the family home to collect some of her belongings. Josh was there, waiting, determined to talk her into staying. "You can't just walk away from this marriage," he said, his voice low but urgent. "Think about the kids. Think about everything we've built." Anna's eyes filled with tears, but she didn't back down. "Josh, we built this on a lie. And every time I've tried to believe in you, you've given me another reason not to." For nearly an hour, they went back and forth, Josh pleading, Anna standing her ground. Finally, she picked up the last bag of children's clothes from the hallway and walked out without looking back. That night, she stayed at a friend's house and called a lawyer. The news spread quickly. Some Duggar siblings privately expressed support for Anna's decision, especially those who had built more independent lives away from the strict family rules. Others, however, saw her separation as a betrayal of their religious values. Jim Bob was particularly upset, believing that a public split would bring more unwanted attention to the family. Michelle, while saddened, quietly admitted to friends that she understood Anna's exhaustion. The children were confused but resilient. Anna explained that they would be spending more time at Grandma's house and with their cousins. She made sure they knew both parents still loved them, even if they wouldn't all be living under the same roof. Anna rented a small house just outside Springdale, close enough for the kids to maintain their routines, but far enough from the Duggar compound to give her breathing room. She began attending a different church, one that emphasized healing and community over public image. For the first time in years, she allowed herself to dream about a future that didn't revolve around Josh's mistakes. She started taking online classes in bookkeeping, hoping to eventually find work that would allow her to support herself and the children without relying on Duggar family resources. Weeks later, Anna released a short statement through a family friend. "My focus right now is on my children and our well-being. I ask for privacy as we navigate this difficult time." Josh, in contrast, remained mostly silent, his public appearances limited by his legal situation. Without Anna by his side, his image as a reformed family man was further tarnished. Media backlash and Duggar family reactions. The Duggar family had been through scandals before, but this time the media storm felt different. It wasn't just a few tabloid headlines or whispers in online forums. It was an unrelenting wave of criticism, analysis, and public outrage that seemed to grow by the hour. The spark had been a televised interview, meant to clear the air. But instead of calming the situation, it had poured gasoline on a smoldering fire. It was a humid Arkansas afternoon when the phone rang in the Duggar family's Springdale home. Michelle Duggar, her voice always carrying that calm Sunday school teacher tone, picked it up. "Hello," she said gently. "Michelle, it's Laura from TLC," came the tense voice on the other end. "I'm just going to say it. The media response is brutal. The interview clip is everywhere. Twitter, Facebook, news outlets, that's nonstop." Michelle's heart sank. She'd been in the public eye for years, but she still wasn't used to this kind of all-consuming scrutiny. "I see," she said softly. "Well, we'll pray on it." But the truth was, prayer didn't stop headlines from spreading, and this story was now too big to ignore. Jim Bob walked into the room, catching the look on Michelle's face. "Bad?" he asked. Michelle nodded. "Worse than bad." By that evening, hashtags were trending. Hashtag Duggar backlash, hashtag cancel TLC show, hashtag accountability now. Clips from the interview were circulating with sarcastic captions. Commentators on YouTube dissected every word, every expression, every pause in their speech. On Instagram, former fans posted photos of the family alongside scathing comments. Jessa sat on the living room couch scrolling through her phone, eyes widening with each new notification. "Mom, they're posting old pictures of us and saying we're all liars," she murmured. Joanna, sitting beside her, put a hand on her shoulder. "Just ignore it." "I can't ignore it," Jessa said, voice trembling. They're tagging me, tagging Ben, even talking about our kids. This isn't just about Josh anymore. They're coming for all of us. A private family meeting was called at the main house. Everyone who could attend showed up, except for Jill, who had distanced herself from the family in recent years, and Josh, who was still out of the public eye for legal reasons. Jim Bob cleared his throat. This family needs to present a united front, he began. We can't let the media tear us apart. But John David spoke up from the back of the room. Maybe the media wouldn't have anything to talk about if we just admitted our mistakes instead of always acting like everything's fine. Silence fell. Michelle looked down at her folded hands. Jinger glanced toward the window, avoiding eye contact. I'm not saying we throw anyone under the bus, John continued, but people see through the perfect family act. We've got to be honest, or it's going to keep getting worse. Jim Bob's jaw tightened. We're not airing family laundry in public, he said firmly. Not now, not ever. While the Duggars debated inside, outside the house the reaction was ferocious. News anchors on major networks ran nightly segments dissecting the controversy. Former TLC producers gave anonymous interviews, claiming there had always been tension behind the scenes and a disconnect between the wholesome image and reality. One particularly viral op-ed in the Washington Post read, "The Duggar family is not just another reality TV clan, they are a brand built on morality. When that moral foundation cracks, the backlash is inevitable and deserved." Meanwhile, advocacy groups began calling for TLC to permanently cut ties. A changed org petition demanding the cancellation of all Duggar-related programming gained over 100,000 signatures in a matter of days. Jinger, who now lived in California with her husband Jeremy, had been quiet for days, avoiding calls from both her parents and reporters. But after seeing the flood of messages on her own social media, she decided to post a carefully worded statement. I love my family, but I also believe in accountability and truth. The pain some people have experienced is real, and I can't ignore that. My hope is for healing and honesty moving forward. The post was shared tens of thousands of times within hours. Some praised her bravery. Others accused her of betraying the family. Back in Arkansas, Jim Bob read the post aloud at the dinner table, his voice flat. So that's how she wants to play it, he muttered. Michelle reached over, placing a hand on his arm. She's our daughter. She's hurting, too. But Jim Bob only shook his head. TLC executives convened an emergency conference call with the Duggar parents. We're in crisis mode, one of the producers said bluntly. Viewers are tuning in, but the advertisers are nervous. We need you to either address the controversy head-on in a special episode or take a break from filming. Jim Bob immediately pushed back. We're not letting the media dictate what we do. We've been through storms before. But another voice on the call added, This isn't the same storm, Jim Bob. This one has legs. Michelle spoke softly. Maybe we should pray on it before making a decision. The call ended with no clear resolution, just more uncertainty.